would not have been in this movie had it not been for the foundational work that was done on the character development.
We also don't want to make a terribly unattractive face that is going to make people wince when they see it in 3D.
It's like a lesson. You can't control nature, you know, nature controls us was kind of the theme of the film.
6月13日，好莱坞暑期巨制《哥斯拉》正式在内地影院拉开帷幕。影片展现了怪兽之王哥斯拉毁天灭地的惨烈景象，也再次反思人类与自然的相处之道。导演加里斯·爱德华斯与布莱恩·克兰斯顿等几位主演日前在美国纽约接受了时光网的独家专访，解读这部怪兽灾难电影背后的深层主题。
I like the idea that we police the world as the West and we say you can't have nuclear power and you can't have it, but we can have it. And it's like, well, what if there was a creature that was attracted to radiation? Suddenly we'd be trying to get rid of this thing, and there's like a lesson there that we can't really control nature. Like when something goes wrong, it really does go wrong. And Godzilla's kind of symbolic of, you know, the fact that we have unleashed these demons, or, you know, in a kind of way, you can't control nature, you know, nature controls us was kind of the theme of the film.
I think I would have thought it was just a monster that seems to just want to attack a city for some reason. You know, like, I had no real knowledge of it until I met the director, and you know, and he educated me really and why it was made 60 years ago, why it sort of emerged from, you know, Japan in '54 after World War II, and you know, such sentiment with this symbolic character, you know, and that was news to me. That was shocking. That was really quite moving. That, you know.
First one is Godzilla was born out of fear about, you know, the people may become fascinated by nuclear power, nuclear weapons. And then, right now, 3 years ago in Japan, we had harder experiences and destroyed a nuclear power plant by tsunami. Then we have the same fear, a nuclear energy. Man cannot control anywhere, ever. Then, you know, we need to show something. We need to present something in this film, right? And then, you know, I need to join this project as a Japanese actor.
You know, my first introduction was when I was a boy and playing with the Godzilla figurines and smashing all the cities that I created. And I loved it. But I would not have been in this movie had it not been for the foundational work that was done on the character development. It was really extremely well done. The relationships, and we're human beings, and that's truly what we can relate to. We can see the spectacle of the destruction and the metaphoric sensibilities behind why Godzilla is coming back to right the wrongs. But without us caring about the people, it really kind of leaves you hollow. So I don't like movies that have no underlying or thoughtful meanings behind them. This does.
I personally believe it's not as simple as, like, the more you show a creature in a monster movie, the better the monster movie is. Like, if you look at for me, the great monster movies, you know, in terms of when I was growing up, things like Jaws and Alien, or even Jurassic Park or whatever, there's a long tradition. All of those movies, the thing they have in common is they hold back and they hint and you glimpse things, and then at some point, like halfway through the movie, you get the big reveal, and it's more powerful. So you're always trying to progress, and then my ideal version of a film is it keeps going, and just when you peak and it climaxes, then it's the end credits.
And so Gareth did that here. He delayed it. Show it, you see a little tail or you see a spine or something. What was that? You know, and you see a little bit of something, but you don't quite know, or you don't see the whole thing. So your sense of anticipation grows. that shows maturity in filmmaking as well. And he was certainly in the driver's seat and our captain all the way through. He made a movie about 4 years ago called Monsters, which was really remarkably well done. It was the first character-driven monster movie I'd ever seen until now. And this really does have an extremely strong and important character-driven element to it.
The design of Godzilla, all those sort of things, you feel like, yeah, we can, just with enough man hours, we can do that. The sort of thing that really needs all your attention is the story, and also trying to find characters that are not superheroes, they're very relatable, normal, everyday folk, that naturally would be on a trajectory in their journey that would intersect with Godzilla, and their actions would affect him and his actions would affect them without it seeming too unrealistic. And so it took us about 1.5 years of circling different ideas until we landed on something where everyone felt like, okay, yeah, this could work.
There are so many things that happen in the film where you are concerned for the characters. You don't know what's actually going to happen to them. So hopefully that allows, you know, more interest in the film in its entirety. You know, maybe hopefully that would engage you more during the fight sequences with the monsters. Sure. You don't want to overdo anything, you know. You do feel silly, but I guess you have to root it in something that would actually terrify you. It helps that you're with 300 other screaming people who are freaking out, and sometimes I'm looking at the extras. I just think, God, it'd be nice to be one of you because it doesn't actually matter what it looks like right here. And so you also don't want to make a terribly unattractive face that is going to make people wince when they see it in 3D.
Gareth is some of those guys who just sort of likes to think about things in every aspect of the way. So, yeah, I think it's quite funny because as an actor, I think I also try and think of things like not the cliche way of doing it, not the way that we'd all think we'd react if we saw. So, but you know, there is a feeling of being terrified at moments, right? But there are levels, I think, and there are also ways that you do an out-of-body sort of experience where you might be so shocked and panicked inside, but you're actually doing like the opposite. You're doing nothing, you know, because you know how people react so differently to the way we think we would. So, and Gareth is like that. He tries to sort of find ways that are just the opposite almost. So I mean, you know, we do so many variations. They get to play with it in the edit, you know. But that was amazing to have someone that really cared about the characters in the movie, and it felt like a movie within the bigger scope. You know, like he likes to get the drama out of the characters. You know, they're real people with real issues, having to deal with them in the moments of crisis and a natural disaster, and it just gives a whole other energy to it, and makes it realistic, and you feel for these characters, and then you're sort of a part of it, and also he wants to shoot it that way from our point of view. So when you see Godzilla, it might just be you saw a moment of it or a clip of it. And
the first one was in response to Nagasaki and Hiroshima and the massive destruction. And it was also a condemnation on the imperialists of all countries who think they would be willing to put their own citizens at risk for their own personal ego of conquering the world. It's ridiculous, you know. When you get down to it, in all my travels, when you get past the corporate structure, when you just talk to people, everybody wants the same thing: to be happy, to have their families happy and healthy, and to live and explore and have an enriched life. So that's the way I think every single walking person on this planet is. We're all different cultures, all different colors, sizes, shapes, but we all want the same thing. So we have a responsibility to this planet that we all share.
The most prominent thing I remember is us, my friends and I, laughing at English dubbed Japanese films and people running in the streets with English voices when they're not speaking English. I think that was funny to me when I discovered that when I was a single-digit number. But I have learned so much about its history, and now that I have, I understand why it's such an icon, and why it has survived 60 years, and why people are still interested by it.